Hey, I love one God, I love one woman, and I love many, many guns. That brings to mind the NRA show and convention, the AGM, and all of that, the cha-cha. And I was there last week in Atlanta, Georgia, and wow, 14 acres of firearms and equipment and blah, blah, blah. I was with 100,000 of my closest friends, and it was great fun. I want to share a couple of photos with you here. Here is a Catherine Glock. I spent some time with her again at the show, and I enjoy her. And she had to fly back to Austria, so she has Glock Air as her transportation. So that's kind of good. Everybody should have their own jet, don't you know? I had one many years ago, a Lear 24, one time when I was rich. I'll just share it with you. Now, lots of hats were there. Freedom hats. They had hats everywhere, of course, and the freedom hats were a big hit. A lot of people were wearing them. And then you jump over to people. Here's a woman that I was walking behind, and I took her photo, and she was shiny. I mean, the picture doesn't show it all, but the lights were on and flashing. She was walking Christmas tree and with the Trump stuff on it. So that was kind of cool. And lots of people there. And I also went to the auction, and the auction was great fun. There was like over 1,000 people at the auction and lots of neat things. And by the way, we have an auction coming up if you go to CSSA.auction. We also have one coming up in America, but that's the Canadian Shooting Sports Association, and so do have a look at that. So it was great fun, and as I said, I love things like boomity boomity boom boom. It's kind of fun. Freedom is pretty important. Every year, President Trump, for many years, I say every year, for many, many years, as far as I can remember, he has spoken at the NRA. This year, he was at he was in Rome at the Pope's funeral. Now, Trump, speaking of him, he's now selling, the Trump organization is selling red hats that simply read Trump 2028. Talk about pushing things along. He's been in power for what, 3 months, maybe 4. And he's already talking about running again. And he can't. The Constitution says you can't do that. Why is he doing that? I don't know. Just his thing is he's got to be in the news, like not every day, every minute. And I guess it works, but a lot of this stuff is wild. Like, why are you pushing to break the law? The Constitution says you can't do that, and yet you swore to uphold the Constitution, and you're always talking about the Constitution, and now you're saying, I want to have a new constitution. I don't know. It gives them press, I guess. California is an interesting place because there's so many rules and so much red tape in California. It's very hard to get through a day. It's not nice. And yet, because there's 40 million people there and they're on the ocean, and yet they're the third largest economy in the world. Fourth, actually, if you factor in the United States. So can you imagine all this wealth and all this pain and everything that goes on in California? Can you imagine if there wasn't a Democrat leading, not only the governor, but all the people? If they weren't Democrats, if they were Republicans, can you imagine? They wouldn't be number 3 or number 4. I should say 4 after America. They would be number 1. On steroids, they would be number 1. But dumb as forever, and these guys continue with the red tape and everything else, and people are always trying to skirt the red tape and the cha-cha-cha. You get it. Canada, Vancouver, keeping up. We got stuff here. This is a sad story. Last Saturday, in a Filipino community, they list that. I don't know why they say that. Why does it matter? People are people. But in any event, they say that 11 people were killed. It was a 4th attack in 7 years with a car, with a vehicle. And people come in, terrorist people, crazy people, and they kill people. And it's not nice. It wasn't a handgun attack. It wasn't a knife attack because government bans handguns. You can't kill anybody with that. So if you want to do a bad thing, now you have to drive a car, right? There needs to be more handguns, actually, because people must carry. Good people, bad people carry anyway. Good people you could defend from the car crazy people, the knife crazy people, and all that stuff. Imagine if the 11 people were killed other than by a car. Imagine if they were killed by a gun. You got that? Like, process that information. I mean, wow. You know, this man who did it, he has a mental health issue, do you think? But it wouldn't matter. They talk about that a lot. And whereas if you would have had this happen by a gun, they wouldn't be talking about the man. They'd be talking about the gun, about the tool. And every hunter by now would have the police knocking on his door, taking his gun away, when in fact, it's so screwed up, everybody should run out and buy a gun to protect against the crazies. And you have the premier there who is a commie, real left-wing guy. He says, I vow to take actions that are necessary to prevent a similar tragedy from occurring in the future. And the man who did this, the bad guy, he has a significant history of interactions with police and healthcare professionals related to mental health. Again, do you think? But these NDP guys, they closed down all the mental institutions, the places that can actually help and care for these people. They closed them. And now he says, we're going to do everything we can to help. What's he going to do? Ban cars? I guess, because again, if it was a gun that did this, he would be saying, I'm going to do everything I can to help and prevent this from happening again. We're going to take all the guns away from everybody who lives in the province. Maybe even the policemen? I don't think so. So it makes no sense. But again, when you're on the left, nothing makes sense. Lastly, I got a last thing. All these left-wing whacks, they're lunatics. They're into this environment thing. This new prime minister, prime mistake now of Canada, he's one of them. Let's all have alternate energy. Well, here's what happened in Spain, Portugal, France, and Belgium. They went, for the first time, they went totally national grid, which was operated entirely on renewable energy. At 8 a.m. in the morning, they started. At 12:35, the lights went out across that part of Europe. They don't have power. They don't have lights. Imagine what's going to happen in places like California. They can't keep the power on now, and they can't keep the air conditioning. Blah, they hurt the grid, and they're saying, but you can't use any gas or oil anymore. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Left. Let's make a song. Hey, y'all come back. See ya.